Normally I have a moderator or somebody, at least a couple other voice actors to pretty up the stage. Here we go.
Is it true that during the Telltale games, you never directly spoke to someone while you were recording the game? Like your other people?
Other actors ensemble, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case with most video games. No, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of playing playing off of other actors like we would in animation or on camera or stage. Certainly adds to the challenge, but I'm used to it. Most of the voiceover work I do is video games. It's just kind of part of the course. I mean, it is what it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi there.
So, how did you get started, and who are your general inspirations for your voice work?
Great questions. I started back in the late 90s. Before many of you were probably even born. I was in my late 20s. I was a telemarketer. A lot of you guys probably don't even know what that is. Way back in the olden days, we used to call people on the phone at dinner time and annoy them.
I was there.
You probably hung up on guys like me a lot. It's not exactly the most fun job. I was pretty good at it. I decided to take some classes with one of my Susan McCullum, Voice Media Susan Things Casting. She taught me everything I know, made some demos, signed with a talent agent up here. 20 years later, I've got an agent in LA. I'm living in Las Vegas, representing myself there. Inspirations, Mel Blanc, definitely Cheech and Chong. The Jerky Boys, I don't know if you know who they are.
Yeah, big.
Look them up. The Jerky Boys were hilarious, amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi.
Hey there.
So I was just wondering, does Riot Games do anything special for the voice actors other than like the money? Like, do you have like a Mordekaiser statue?
Actually, I have a Rise statue, and a rioter sent it to me. An awesome Rise, little, about 10 inches tall. Actually, they sent me a set, Rise and Trindamere, and because Brian Summers, a good buddy of mine, voices Trinda, I gave him the Trinda statue. Yeah, the League of Legends thing definitely has been a ride.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Heather.
Howdy doody.
Howdy.
What is your...
First off, who are you dressed as?
Hotaru Shidare from the Gashi Kashi. That's the new...
Can I show them?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Heather and I are buddies. She is very close with the Telltale family.
Yeah, my husband works there.
I may wear this at some point this
Yeah, go
weekend.
ahead. The fangs, if you want to, you have to get hot water and like you have to have a spoon and then put the fangs in your mouth.
Sorry guys, you're getting a whole lesson here. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah, I made this for him a while ago, but he moved away, and so I haven't seen you, and you've been really busy.
I've been moving all over the place.
Yeah.
I forgot just how amazing this is.
I'm glad. I still have my snow.
Should I wear it tonight, guys?
Yeah.
Did you bring snow?
No, I didn't. It's back home, but I mean, I could drive an hour and a half.
No, we're still. Wow, she even did the.
I have a photographer
cell
friend
shading
that
on
might be
the
interested.
pants.
Hi,
Yeah,
Heather.
it's harder to see, but I think in photography you'll be able to see it.
Oh yeah, see the thing, guys, is the final idea, and we will do it, is charity calendar. Heather is amazing. She makes all her own outfits. Excuse me, I'm a little sick, so if I'm sniffling in the mic, I apologize. And we even have the fangs.
Yeah. You have to put the thermoplastic in hot water and then like mold them into your.
Oh, trust me, you're going to be showing me how to do all that.
Yeah.
The fangs and the contacts, I'll probably say.
Contacts are fun.
The photo shoot.
They're so fun.
Okay.
But
Did
yeah.
you actually have a question?
Yes, I did have a question.
Where the hell have you been, Adam?
Yeah, anyway, no, I wanted to know what your favorite role was and if we could have a sample of it.
Sure. Thank you. Obviously, I have to throw Bigby in there. It's really hard. It's like Sophie's Choice, you know. You guys probably don't get that reference either. Of my league champs, Shaco, definitely holds a spot in my heart. I love Andy St. John in Walking Dead. Some of the characters you may not remember, but I certainly do, are The Godfather. That was really my first big title, The Godfather for EA. The Godfather, obviously Bigby and Shaco, Mordekaiser, wait. One guy gets it. But you know what, at the end of the day, yes, it's got to be Bigby. He changed my life. Thank you. More questions, awesome.
So, what gaming genre would you like to do more of?
Third person shooters are usually what I like to play, Grand Theft Auto and Tomb Raider, things like that. Hi there.
I'm gonna ask him.
Sure. Intended.
Yes. Who was the hardest character for you to voice? It could be like conceptually or technically hardest to like capture the essence of, or just boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
Honestly, even the really stinker video games, the ones that are translated tend to be the biggest challenge. And a lot of times it's not done well, and you just know it's going to suck. But to be honest, come on, I'm being paid to go in and play. There haven't been any bad experiences, other than maybe a few directors who just wanted to justify their paychecks. They have me do 500 takes of something when they know they got it the first time. I'm not going to name anybody specifically. Every role I do, big or small, I put a lot of myself into it, so I have fun, and it's what I do.
How do you keep your voice top condition? I know that.
Whiskey and cigarettes. I honestly, I don't think about it much.
No?
No.
Not even after talking for an entire day?
I was blessed with stamina with the voice, and the talking isn't the hard part, it's the emotes. Just last month, I had 2 gigs in 1 week where the character didn't speak a word, but lifted things. Or, obviously fought, and you die, and you're burning and falling off a building at the same time, and they want a ton of takes of it. Part of the reason I get a lot of work is because I go in there and I just do it. If you lose your voice, which obviously happens sometimes, you just work through it.
How do you work through without a voice?
A lot of tea and honey, and again, see, I'm not going in there with this smooth, nice, easy to listen to voice like the Troys and the Nolans, so they kind of pay me to sound like this. So.
It sounds good.
Get in there, kick butt, and try to get out as fast as possible, and make them remember that you came in and solved problems. You gave them exactly what they wanted on the second take, or less, maybe 1, and then you keep working. And that's the whole name of the game, is you want to keep working.
So your, conversational voice is very similar to Big B. Have you been recognized as Big B, like ordering fast food or answering the phone?
A few times. Oddly enough, it always happens at a convenience store. It's always a 7-Eleven guy. I guess the 7-Eleven guys are big gamers. I'm not sure. On an airplane once, trust me, it's very rare. As I tell folks, 5 feet outside of these conventions, no one cares who the hell I am. But on a plane, I had 2 people recognize me. I guess the British Academy Awards had just happened, and maybe there was, the news blurbs were out there somewhere. But not gonna lie, it's great, but I don't get used to it, because at the end of the day, people want to see Bigby, not this guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you get called in for an audition to go in the studio, is it true that they just give you the script and you have like 5 minutes to read it over, then you read it on for an audition?
Like, you mean an audition or a job?
An audition.
An audition you usually do at home. You have all the time in the world. You record it yourself. You edit it yourself with editing software. The job, the gig, yeah, absolutely. And 9 times out of 10, the audition is just going to be a little section of what you're actually reading if you get the job. So yeah, you don't have a lot of prep time. I recently befriended Todd Bridges. Well, actually, I've known him for a few years, but we're neighbors. Do you guys know who Todd Bridges is? What you talking about, Willis? He's Willis. And I just got him his first video game VO gig a week and a half ago. And we talked about the differences between on camera and voiceover, because he came in pretty confident. He's been acting since Roots. I watched him in Roots, which was a miniseries about slavery in the 70s. The guy has been prolific, and he's working a lot. But he got in there, and after the session, he's like, man, that was challenging. I didn't know how hard it is, what you do. But I got a taste of what he does doing that show. Almost got away with it. And you're not even listening, are you? So yeah, everything's kind of different, but at the end of the day, it's all acting, and even if you only have 5 minutes, you better get yourself acclimated as possible and give them the best performance you possibly can in very little amount of time of prep.
when you're auditioning online, how long does the auditions go on for? Does it vary?
Well, if your agent's doing their job, or if the client is reasonable, it shouldn't be more than 30 seconds of recorded copy. Sometimes a client will send us pages of copy wanting us to give 6 different takes on their character, which essentially is them trying to get us to do work for free to give them a feel of what these characters might sound like. And it happens a lot more often than you might think. Ideally, between 30 seconds and a minute of edited copy is all you should be given. And if it's someone you don't know and someone you're not too sure about, don't read the whole script, or they can just take it and use it and not pay you, which has happened.
Do you have a lot of creative freedom, or do you have to ad-lib, or do they just kind of give you a concept and you just have to go with that?
Generally, a little bit of riffing, ad-lib, improv is not only encouraged, it's welcome. Certainly, we did some of that stuff with Telltale, but then there's games like League of Legends where, you know, at the end of the day, there's only a few lines and there's not a lot of room to wiggle there. A lot of it is how comfortable you are with your director, if you work together a lot, and your improv skills. I mean, if you get up there and freeze, or, you know, start spewing Tourette's syndrome profanities at everybody, well, depending on the game, it's kind of a fine line. I love to improv, especially when the copy is written badly. And it can be fun. I mean, it's challenging to get in there and without any warning, at the drop of a hat, you know, come up with something interesting or funny, or some kind of thought or take that the writer or director hadn't thought of before you brought it to the table. So I love it. Yeah. Great outfit.
Oh, thank you. My question is, well, voice actors audition for many more projects than they actually get cast for.
Yes.
How do you keep yourself from getting burnt out when you just have to keep going and
I
don't
come
know
to
the
cons
answer?
and talk to you guys. No, seriously, I love coming to conventions. I love meeting gamers face to face and talking about the projects I've done or projects I like to do. I want to do more anime, and I may be actually doing one. But, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, how do you keep yourself from getting burnt out?
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it happens. That's what vacations are for. Oftentimes, an actor will take a break. They'll call their agent and say, look, I'm burned out. I need a couple of months. Although you don't want to do that too long, because then the next great Adam Harrington's going to come along and take every gig that I used to get. But certainly, it happens in every job, I'm sure, but particularly creatively, you know, writers get writer's block, and you just try to avoid it. The beauty of this is, again, I love it so much that I don't tend to burn out on the work itself. It's more the networking, all the behind-the-scenes stuff that goes into that 1 hour or 2 hours per week that we work. What a lot of people don't realize is, sure, we make a great hourly rate, but most folks don't factor in all the work that goes into getting those gigs. The auditioning for, as you said, you audition for a lot of gigs, and a percentage of them you'll get, if you're lucky and really, really good. But the networking, the marketing, the promotion, and on and on and on, yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff that goes into that 1 hour, and you can certainly burn out from it. Try to be around people that stimulate you creatively, and try to have fun. Remember, at the end of the day, it's a job, but it's a lot of freaking fun.
Thank you.
You got it. Where do I get one of those bags? I want.
Yeah, they're nice. So with Riot Games, you mentioned that they would only take in like professionals nowadays with whatever plans they have. And
Well, I mean, the definition of a professional is kind of changing, but go ahead.
When they first called you in, were you like, did they consider you like, did you consider yourself a professional for them, or were you like a grandma on a USB mic?
Both. No, all of my league champs were recorded in 2008 and 2009,
right.
which is hard to believe now. What was that, 8 years ago? And Riot, no one had heard of Riot. I was directed by Brandon at one point, I mean, the CEO, and these guys just had this little MOBA that they were excited about, and nobody had, even Riot themselves, certainly the voice actors, we had no idea what it was going to turn into. I mean, we've gotten all the way to the point now where I specifically moved to Las Vegas temporarily, but not too temporarily, because esports is being legalized for gambling, and some of the big casinos are now going to open up sports books for esports. I mean, that's how big it's getting.
That's awesome.
But they're going to be watching big tournaments on big screens, you know, like they do for the Super Bowl or things like that in casinos. I had been doing it a long time. I'd been doing it 10 years almost, voiceover in video games. But no, we were just, you know, blue-collar hacks, just, you know, auditioning and auditioning and auditioning, and here comes this game with, I think, they started with 20 or something like that, 20 champs. So many guys from that original core Riot team spun off to start their own things. I don't know if you remember IPL, the IGN Pro League. All those guys were my buddies. The first taste, me and some of my friends that Heather has met, Brian Summers, Tryndamere, and Warwick, and Willem Nunes Yeti, Eric Grobbs, Draven, and Jax, and Gavin Hammond, and on and on and on. We went on stage in San Francisco, and then Eric and I went, and Christina B went on stage in Vegas, and it was amazing. You know, it was 5,000 people just roaring. Yeah, but at that point, no, nobody knew who anybody was.
Yeah. I was
We
just
were
saying,
just
'cause
making a little game.
Yeah, I first saw you at IPL Face Off in SF.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, that was awesome. One last thing, could you say zap?
Zap!
Yeah.
Let's go, let's go!
Yeah, awesome.
I often, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Those of you that know League of Legends, Rise was pretty much Shaco with no sense of humor. If you listen to it, it's the same character. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Love the shirt, man.
Thanks. Well, that's just like your opinion.
Yes, it is.
What's the worst experience you've ever had in acting, voice acting or otherwise?
With another person? Honestly, the worst experience I've had in voice acting to date is I did national TV spots. These are commercials. It's not going to be as sexy an answer as you wanted, but it's the truth. National TV spot for a paint company that are still running today that I was never paid for. That is, yeah, and we're talking many thousands of dollars. That is definitely a hazard of the occupation that I was lucky enough to avoid until just a few years ago. Sorry, I wish I had some big blowout Christian Bale story for you. Oh, good for you! For the most part, we all love each other. We're a tight-knit crew. It's very, very small community. Even in LA, you see a lot of the same folks, a lot of the same actors, a lot of the same directors. And other than a few total jackasses who remain nameless, it's pretty much family. Sometimes families fight, sure, but sometimes that difference of opinion bordering on World War III is the catalyst for some amazing creative stuff, and I keep knocking this over. I'm sorry, guys. You make me nervous. Wait, it's not over, is it?
No, thank God.
I'll stay longer if you guys want. I actually brought, I think I have enough for everybody. I hope so. I brought some little things I'll sign for you afterward. Another great shirt.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I can go home and say Big B Wolf complimented my shirt. First of all, just a great fan of your work.
Thank you.
So, as a voice actor, what are your thoughts on like Hollywood actors being brought in, or just bigger names being put into these projects? Because you were mentioning how it's more like a tight-knit family.
Celebrity voicing video game characters, I tend to take the stance that developers can do whatever the hell they want. It's their money. They can hire who they want. And why wouldn't they hire somebody who possibly could, you know, sell a few more copies of the game, or maybe more importantly, generate interest in the game and buzz. The problem is, a lot of times, really, really big Hollywood celebrities. Now, there are two different kinds of celebrities. There's the Troy Bakers and the Nolan Norths, which are celebrities known for video game voice acting. Then you get big stars, oftentimes voicing their own characters from a movie or a TV show in a game. The Game of Thrones for Telltale, for example, a lot of the actors are actors from the show. I'm related to Kit Harrington, by the way. I'm waiting for him to figure that out. I've been casting games recently, and I just said, I mean, Todd Bridges, well, he was on a TV show in the 70s, and some may consider B-list celebrity. A lot of people, especially my generation, know the guy, and sure, I hired him because he's Todd Bridges, and he voiced a character for my friend Matt Kahn, who is here, and I better go see him soon. He's down on the floor. Mid-Boss. We are making a game called Read Only Memories. Yeah. Yep. And Matt and I sat and directed Todd about a week and a half ago. He's done voiceover, but he's never done video game voiceover, and it's a totally different animal. I'm not going to name this actor, not that he'd ever hear, but I just don't want to risk it. One of the actors from Iron Man, and it's not Robert Downey Jr., I saw a video of him voicing his character in a video game, and he might as well have been looking at his watch. It was the epitome of mailing it in. The guy just clearly did not want to do this. It was probably part of his contract with the movie studio that you have to voice your character in the video game as well. I was in the video game as well, and it was a horrible video game. Iron Man 2, I mean, it got awful reviews. It closed down secret level studios in San Francisco. Boy, I better watch out. What do I care? It was Don Cheadle. Don is a great actor. I love him. Go look it up, and if you see any footage of him voicing his character in Iron Man 2, you will see what I mean. He's just like, yeah, are we done? And you're never really going to get a lot of passion or excitement, doing it that way. Hi there.
Hi. So, how difficult is it for you to switch between the different characters you voice?
How to do what now?
How to switch between, like, go from your regular voice to Big B or...
Actually, Big B is about as close to my regular voice as maybe any of my characters ever have been. But what a lot of people don't know is he's more my brother than me. My late brother and I sounded almost identical. We would answer the phone and our own mom wouldn't know. But he went on to sales and I went on to doing this. Big B was based on my brother's voice, but Woodsman was based on my grandpa, almost to a T. My grandpa was from upstate New York, and I essentially did Bud Kroger, but if you played The Walking Dead, Andy St. John, spoiler alert, although if you haven't played the first season, what are you doing? Andy St. John, my character, one of my most diabolical characters, who ended up being a cannibal, is absolutely my sweet little grandma, Dixie Kroger from Savannah, Georgia. And she would have been very proud of that. I didn't answer your question. No, wait, what was it? Ask me again.
How difficult is it for you? Like, could you theoretically switch or film?
I have, for testing purposes, but for the most part, again, the fact that we don't get to record with other actors means that we don't bounce characters off each other, which means the necessity for me to jump back and forth to different characters, the only time that ever comes up is when I'm reading bedtime stories to my nieces. Back in the day, we had to do a lot of that, and for Try on Worlds, for Rift, I know Rift isn't World of Warcraft, but I love those guys. I've voiced over 200 characters for them. They're the most fun because they let me go in there and essentially create a character on the spot while the clock is ticking. And if I remember correctly, a few times we'd go back and forth. It's not easy. It's not recommended. There's no reason you have to when you can stay in character. The way video game voice acting works is the reason we don't do ensemble is most times these games have to be lifted up and put in different parts of the game, or you get the branching thing with Telltale, something like that. Definitely League of Legends, obviously, it's just when somebody hits taunt. Again, yeah, the only time I do it is when I'm riffing with my friends or reading a bedtime story to my niece and going back and forth in the character. It's not easy, to answer your question, on a completely roundabout ADD way. Sure.
Thank you.
You got it. Hey there.
Hello. So you're in a game called Read Only Memories?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what the game's about and maybe what you're gonna do?
It's set in the near future here in San Francisco, but it's called Neo San Francisco. It is made by Mid-Boss, who's headed up by my buddy Matt Kahn. It's old school. It's retro.
Yeah. Did you ever meet the guy who was behind Fables, Bill? I keep forgetting his last name.
Bill Willingham and I are buddies. Yeah, he invited me to Wake his Fables Wake, the comic that The Wolf Among Us is based on, Fables. He released the last issue, the 150th issue this summer. And it was an interesting event. It was emotional for me. I mean, he had a coffin out there and everything. Just some really good friends of his. Sturgis, the guy who's writing the new Wolf Among Us comic, which is a trip in itself. It's a comic based on a game that was based on a comic. All of us were there, and we gave speeches, and we had a whole weekend. Yeah, Bill is amazing. I still have yet to, on my YouTube channel, I teased a podcast with him. I talked to him for 2 hours and recorded the whole thing. This was great about Fables scenarios that never played out but almost did. There was a whole arc with Peter Pan as a villain, and asked him about his experience playing the Wolf Among Us, which was awesome, and the choices he made. And I figured out as I was interviewing him that technically he is the great creator of this whole universe, so any choice that he makes playing the Wolf Among Us, that's the right choice, right? It's gotta be. I mean, he's the guy that created and writes the whole thing. Bottom line, even though all you hear is my voice, if I'm doing my job, I'm in there using my whole space, my face definitely, but my arms. 9 times out of 10, if you get an actor with their arms stiff, just talking into a microphone, you're gonna get a very wooden performance. But if you rise and you go zap, then you might get a little more out of it. That's the switch, I guess.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Is that it? Hey, thanks, guys.